All right, it says that we are live. Good. What's going on, guys? It's your boy. It's tais.worldtv. I am so sorry, guys. I meant to do this way earlier. I had technical difficulties, if you can believe it. I don't know what happened. I couldn't get on the internet for nothing. So it was crazy. I apologize wholeheartedly, guys. So what's happening? As you know, there is no chapter this week, which is sad. But I wanted to react to this video, recommended by my boy Zoni. Okay, Zoni, shout out to you. Thank you for recommending this. It is called Luffy versus Kizaru. Full fight analysis by Allfather Silver. I never heard of this person. So shout out to you. And the original video will be in the comment section of this video. Okay. So this is like my first time doing this on live. So this is gonna be pretty cool. I don't know what this. Oh, I know it's an analysis of Luffy's fight with Kizaru. So I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what he's gonna say, but you know, it is what it is. Zoni, what's happening, bro? Again, I apologize, Zoni. I got in here late. It got me doing the Eddie Murphy laugh, y'all. Yeah, so like I said, I apologize. I had like network trouble, so it was hard for me to get on here, and then I had to keep changing the time just to make sure everything was good. You guys can hear me, you guys can hear the audio, so yeah. What's good, my boy? Thank you, Aldi Zoni. I was saying it before, but I'm gonna say it again. Thank you, Zoni, for recommending this for me. Again, this is by All Father Silver. Go check out his channel, okay? So let's get to it. Let's get to it. I want to see what he gonna say. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, and like, comment, subscribe, and share. All that good jazz. Let's go. Oh, I like that opening.
So Kizaru versus Luffy, perhaps the most divisive fight in One Piece history. You
It
got one
really
half of the
is. It
fan
really
base,
is.
probably more so 75 to 80% of the fan base that think Luffy fighterized Kizaru, that just destroyed him. That Kizaru looks like a
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy, guys? I've had arguments with people on Reddit for this. They've got people that actually think that Luffy, and I've said this, Luffy sat here and destroyed and could actually fight Kizaru. Nah, bro. Nah. I Luffy again. He's powerful, yes, but he is not on that level to take on an apple. I've said this, but like I said, we're gonna continue this, and we're gonna see. Okay, Zoni, I am mostly late to my plans and schedules too. Yeah, man, you know what's crazy? I'm not usually late like that, but it's like with the YouTube game, it's like life be lifing for me, so that's why sometimes I'll be a little late and I gotta change the time and stuff. Oh, you're welcome, bro. Anytime, anytime. Anything, anytime. I appreciate you, bro. All right, let's get into this now.
bum. You got the other 20% that believes that Kizaru is still stronger, that believes that Kizaru mentally conflicted, etc., etc. And I think that
Okay.
it's super clear what the answer is to this. I think that
Okay.
there's some people with genuine confusion. I also think that there's some people that just don't give a shit and they just have a belief one way for their agenda, and it's not going to change no matter what evidence is presented.
I
Whichever shoe
like that.
fits, the
That's
shoe
nice.
fits. But I'm going to do the best of my abilities to give you guys the full analysis for this fight,
Okay.
feats,
Let's
narrative,
go.
portrayal,
Let's go.
all the moments, and we're breaking it down. So the first thing that needs to be addressed is when we first start out here, people are pushing a narrative that Luffy is already tired and fatigued going into the fight. This is obviously because he had fought Rob Lucci and he fought the Seraphims, right? Now, the problem with this is that a day and night has actually passed. You actually see that in chapter 1078, they give you a breakdown of all the things that have happened, and we see like the concluding moments, the last moments of the Seraphim fight that we get to see on screen. And then we cut away to the world government's plan, talking about how the government had this plan for months and they were
Okay, so I like this. What All Father is saying. Excuse me. Ooh, excuse me, guys. I just ate. People forget this. Egghead was like they stayed in Egghead for a whole day and night, and then everything else popped off with the Gorosei and Kizaru the next day. So they had time to rest. Luffy had time to rest, even when he had those two fights with the Seraphim and Lucci. He still had time to recuperate, bro. So to sit there and say, "Yo, he was fatigued with fighting Kizaru," that's not true. That is not true. And even if that was the case, I have seen this kid. Mind you, he has the zoning, mythical zoning fruit. Okay. Model Nika. Okay. He is a zoning fruit. So he has an endurance level higher than others. So again, that's not even, credible. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I agree. People think Luffy beat up Kizaru. Right, and he didn't. Like, yo, Kizaru was taking it easy on Luffy. And it's like, I don't understand why people don't see this, but whatever. While kind of it's the other way around, right? They stood a whole day and night. Exactly. Like it was day and night. So to sit there and say Luffy didn't have time to rest, that's kind of that no, that's false. That's false. All right, let's keep going.
Sending Kizaru as protection for the Gorosei because Saturn wanted to go personally. All this, and then the unexpected variable of Luffy being there. And then they were talking about how the resolution of this incident took place the following day. So
Right.
there's the day that the Straw Hats arrive, and that's when he
Right.
fights Rob Lucci. That's when he fights the Seraphim. And then
Right.
there's a day that passes, day and night that passes, and that's when Kizaru, Saturn, all these people arrive, and that's when the fights take place. So now within this
Right.
resolution, you still have people believing that, oh, well, the Strawts were fighting all night. For one, it's very clear when you go to 1089 and 1090 that the Strawts have been done with their fight for a while. There's been full course meals issued out to even the prisoners down below. People have been patched up already. They're healing.
Right.
Robin's
I remember
referencing
this
this.
too.
I'm
Yeah,
not sure if
yeah, yeah.
Sanji was actually cooking, but he's moving around food because they had the food machine there. But it's clear that the fights have been settled for a while. And Luffy even references this talking to Bonnie when he's like, "You were crying all night about the Vegapunk situation." So if Luffy was in
Oh,
combat
that's
the whole
right,
time, I
because
don't think he's gonna be
Bonnie
worried or
found out
watching what
about
Bonnie's
Kuma's
doing. And
past.
regardless, you have a situation where it's unspecified, but to just assume that they fought the entire night is just baseless. When
Exactly.
the fight that's taking
Right.
place, they talk about
Right.
that was the day ago, and everything we cut back and everything's
Exactly. And look at that. They're all eating. They're chilling. Sanji, Vegapunks, the Stella, they're chilling. So they had time to chill. They had time to regroup themselves. So to sit there and say, man, this kid ain't had no time, that's great.
resolute, and Luffy's feasting. And it's not just like him eating one singular ham. He literally is feasting. There's a picture just like the ones that
Yo,
were
he
in Wano of him
globbling a whole
feasting on
glizzy
a full
right now,
course meal.
bro.
It's the same food machine that he had when he got back up later, and we're gonna get into that moment later. So he's essentially just like he says when he gets back up later. The White Star Gun and all this stuff. He's at full power when he eats this food. He slams food. Got to sit there for all night, eat as much food as he wants. And just
Exactly.
to put the scope of this,
Exactly.
Luffy's not one to share food when he needs to eat. He's greedy with
That
his
is
food,
true.
man. So you looking
Bro.
at this amount of food.
Bro, that is so true. This kid does not want to share with nobody. He want to eat. Like, unless it's like Otama or something, for a specific reason. But other than he don't give a goddamn. He greedy with his food. So that's true.
Given to the prisoners down below, and you see the pile of food in front of Luffy. He's fattened up. You know that man was fully fed. So he was fully fed, revitalized. Not to mention he's in awakened zone, so he recovers at a faster rate, and they
Right,
have a
right.
stamina
That's
replenishment
true.
factor
That's
to
true.
him.
I like
And
he's
people bring
doing
up
his
like,
his,
oh,
his, his,
Kaku
his
is still fucked
thoroughness
up.
with this. I
And
love
yeah,
this, Sony.
Lucci
Thank you.
and Zoro are still hurt too. And like everybody's kind of hurt because they're gonna sustain their damage. Luffy works a little bit differently from basic awakened zones, even though all awakened zones have that recovery factor. Luffy
Oh
is
yeah, they do. That's
confirmed
true.
to get his strength back from eating,
Right.
which may tie into his imaginative powers that he believes that because of Nika and all this. We don't really know, but regardless, Lucci and Zoro was
Ooh, I never thought of that. I never thought of that. His imaginative powers is why he's able to gain his full strength when eating. That's interesting. And see, that's the difficult thing about his fruit. And that's why Oda's playing it fast and loose with power set of Luffy right now with Gear 5 because he left it what's the word? What's the word, guys? He left it tight for a reason when Vegapunk explained about devil fruits. He did this for a reason. Even when you explain the full nature of devil fruit, it's tight for a reason. Because Oda get to like if he has to change something, then he'll get to change it or whatever. So, so yeah.
Was still capable of fighting. The reason Kaku's in worse shape is simply because he was the weakest of the four of them fighting and he took the most damage. I think that's
Okay.
obvious and clear. So, of course, no matter what his recovery rate is, if you take a significant amount of damage to where he got incapacitated in the fight and defeated, he's still going to take way longer to recover. And they
Mm.
even reference the fact that, like, when Sanji goes to put the bubble gun on Kaku, they think that he could potentially get back up and maybe even fight. That's why they put him in the bubble gun. Otherwise, they just leave him there. It's a precautionary measure, right? When we cut to the actual fight,
Woo!
1091 is where we start. But 1090,
Let me tell y'all something. Let me tell y'all something. I love this panel. This is one of my favorite panels, right? You got Luffy after 2 years finally giving it to Kizaru, bro. He said, "Yo, let me show you a little bit of that haki I should have showed you in Shabody." Damn. Let me show you that real quick. Hold on. Zoni, yeah, they stood a whole day and night. Zoni, he has a mythical zonin devil fruit, which he recovers on a whole another scale than normal zonins, like carnivores, herbivores, zonins, including people without a devil fruit, and that's just also regular humans. Right, exactly. That right. Plus, before the fight against Kizaru, Luffy ate, and it is stated that when Luffy eats, he is at his best, which is true. And this is what I've been saying to y'all. Like, um, well, I haven't been saying it, but I'm saying it now. Not Kizaru, sorry. Luffy has the mythical zone, so he has, which explains why he's able to recover so fast all the time. And I love that we got that explanation now. Luffy himself stated that he is back at his best, and sometimes saying he's back at full strength, which is true. Like, I'm going through Wano right now, anime wise, and when Kaido knocked his butt out of the ocean, you know, and then he's eating that meat. Pause. He was back. He was good to go. You know what I mean? Sony, I love how Kizaru blocked an advanced conqueror's haki with kick without even trying. Yeah, but you could tell that he was shocked. He was like, "Oh, y'all got this far." Because remember, back in Showboaty, Zoro, none of them could do hockey. Luffy couldn't do hockey. That's why he couldn't touch him. Now Luffy can touch him. You know what I mean? So that's why I really love this panel, with the hockey flowing up in here. You know what I mean? And this isn't like the thick well, I don't know if this is a I wouldn't say this is say there's advanced. So I don't know about that. But, you know what, maybe. No, you may be right. No, it's only you may be right. You may be right. Cause I do see the lightning hits. And you know what's crazy too? I didn't now that I think about it, I was watching the fight between Who's Who and Jinbei, and I noticed that Jinbei's hockey is blue, but normal hockey is usually black and red. But his hockey was blue. That's interesting. All right, let me keep going with this video. Let me keep going.
we see that Luffy had recognized a very strong presence, and you see that it's obviously Kizaru with the light beams coming up. Somebody mentions light right in the panel next to him. And Luffy, after hearing this and after noticing that Kizaru is there, he starts smashing extra food on the ship. So he is even worried about it, clear from his face, and then starts smashing extra food just to make sure he has enough power to fight with Kizaru. So this notion that he was tired and he's not 100% from a stamina perspective is just not true. And I want to make that very, very clear. Then he goes into this fight. Kizaru had just taken out Sentomaru, another, emotional moment. You get highlights of him, having the checklist and wanting to take his friends off the list, but he's going forward with the plan. He gave Sentomaru his one-on-one. He comes up. Luffy goes right after him with the kick. He then had the statement, "We're 100 times stronger than we used to be," which is a direct callback to the Shaki line in Saboti,
And I
which,
love that
could
line
actually
too.
be some Rayleigh hype
I
because
love
it's a
that
direct
line too.
callback from
You
Oda.
can
With that
see in
said,
Kizaru's face though. You can see it in his face. Like he's taking this seriously to a certain degree. He's like, "Oh, you got a little bit." stronger. Okay. I see you. Okay. What else can you do? Now everything else after that, well, he's probably going to explain after that. But let me. Everything else after that is going to be different. But let's see.
He kicks him, and we go off screen. And then we cut back in chapter 1092. And in chapter 1092, Luffy has already kicked in a Snake Man. So base obviously
Yes.
wasn't enough. Gear 2
Yes.
and 3 weren't enough. He goes into Snake Man. So when he's in Snake
Yes.
Man, what we see is that Kizaru
Yes.
is able to easily react and block all of Luffy's attacks in this form. He just keeps.
Thank you. Allfather Silver, thank you, sir, because this is what I've been saying. When we get to the next chapter, Luffy and Snake Man, and he's hurt if you really look at him. He got the little mark. Well, I think he had the marks before. But still, you still see Kizaru blocking these Snake Man shots. And I don't think Kizaru's using observation haki that we know. And he could, I don't know. But he's blocking these with ease. And Luffy's going to Snake Man. That's his quickest form until you get to Gear 5. So for y'all to sit there and tell me that that Luffy's stronger, get out of here. Same base Luffy with ACOC. That is going blow for blow with Hybrid Kaido. Yeah, and Kaido was still stronger. I think it's his fisherman karate synchronizing with his hockey making it blue. Ooh, I never thought of that, Joni. That's actually pretty good theory. Never thought of that. Same Snake Man that forced Hybrid Kaido to use Future Sight. Exactly. And Kizaru is just blocking every single punch. Exactly. So, and it's crazy because I've heard people a lot of fans say the admirals are not strong. It's it the Yonkos are stronger. When have they ever said that? When? Now I know they are afraid to face not Kaido. Well, yeah, even Kaido too. I know they can't fight them without authorization from the higher ups, from the Gurusei, whatever. So they need permission to fight the Yonko, for sure. But doesn't mean that they're gonna wash the floor with them. That's not what they mean. Because if that was the case, the Yonko would have took over the government a long time ago. If that was the case, it's not the case. The admirals are still strong. Greenbow might be the weakest, and maybe Fujitora, maybe. But the main three, well, now main two, they are even still the main three: Aokiji, Kizaru, and Akainu. They are the strongest hell. They're still strong. You got a Aokiji boxing with old Garp, bro. That's him hitting me up on the messenger right now, telling me facts. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. All right, let's keep going.
Putting his hands up, blocking these attacks. He says, I can see why you're the man that defeated Kaido. So my personal opinion is that Luffy is still weaker than Kaido. I have a whole video explaining this because of the context involved
Oh,
in
I
their
gotta
fight.
watch
So
that video.
my
Thank you.
interpretation is that Kizaru gives Luffy credit he doesn't even truly deserve. Yes, he defeated
Son,
Kaido, but it's like
son,
giving him credit for like
yes.
he's like legitimately stronger than Kaido. He beat him in a straight, fair, and square 1v1, etc. So Kizaru.
Yes, thank you. Oh my God. Zoni, you are the man. I'm glad you showed me this video because yes. Yes. And I've been said this. I never even saw this video. And I've been said this, bro. Luffy did not win against Kaido. It wasn't a fair 1v1. It started off as a 5v1 or 5v2, then a 5v1. Then it became Yamato got in there. Um, and then Luffy came back. Then it became a one-on-one. Luffy got killed. Even if that CP0 dude got in the middle, even if he didn't get in the middle, even if he didn't interfere with it, Luffy still would have lost. He still would have lost. Then when he went to Gear 5, Kaido still got him on the ropes. Now, mind you, Luffy had that Gear 5 new form. He had it and he was trying to figure it out. Sure. So I gotta give Luffy that. But still, Kaido allowed Luffy to charge his final hit, the Onishigama fist. You got Kaido hitting me up from the grave or wherever. I don't think he dead, but he hitting me up right now on Messenger too, telling me facts. Bruh, sick of this. Hold on. As you can see, he's blocking his palms just like Sentomaru. Because, fun fact, Kizaru is the one that trains Sentomaru. I think I did know that. I think they explained that in the Egghead, right? Zoni, if I remember correctly. Kuzan going blow for blow with full power old guard. Exactly. So I don't understand how you gonna say the arrows is weak, but okay. While Kuzan is mentally nerfed and holding back massively because he doesn't want to hurt his old friend, his old man who even killed him. Exactly. And he has haki. He has haki. So I'm assuming Kizaru has haki too. He's just not using it. And he got hands. I know he got hands. He gotta have hands, bro. So to sit there and say that the Admirals are weak, it's not true. Because if that was the case, all the Yonkos would have been taken over the government a long time ago. Get the hell about it.
Even with that notion, is saying like, okay, this guy beat Kaido. He doesn't know the context, and yet it's still not a big issue for him, right? So it's pretty interesting dialogue. It says very powerful stuff, and then they get into the conversation about Vegapunk and why Kizaru is going to kill Vegapunk as Luffy continues to keep attacking him. At this point, Kizaru, while answering this question, completely disappears from Luffy's field
Oh,
of
I
view when Luffy's trying
remember
to attack
this,
him and
yo.
literally
He
just sees
hit the
Ghost
shit
missing the
out of
punch
Luffy, bro.
entirely,
The
and then
shit
Kizaru
out of him.
darts off into the distance. Luffy then
I
sees the light
remember
glint,
this, bro.
understands the direction in which he went, says, damn, how far did he fly, is actively seeking out where Kizaru is, and Kizaru comes back
Bro.
down, acceleration his power, and violently blitzes the shit out of Luffy. And anybody that wants to say, like, Luffy's
I
blinded in this
remember this,
instance,
bro. I
observation haki goes
remember
far
this.
beyond the sight. It goes far beyond
Right.
the sight. It is all five senses, and he knows the general direction in which he's coming, and the three exclamation points really
I can't wait
reinforce
to
that
see
he's
this in the
sensing
anime.
this being coming after him, and yet he cannot dodge, cannot react to this attack. This is a clear-cut, disgusting blitz. So when he blitzes the shit out
Exactly.
of Luffy, Kizaru kicks him through this Vega Force 01. The robot explodes.
I remember
Luffy is
this. Yo, he kicked
uncontrolled
the
going
shit
through
out of
this, goes
Luffy,
through the
bro. I
barrier, and you
forgot
see
he
that
went through
Kizaru
the
again
robot.
remembers his time with Vegapunk when Vegapunk created
Oh.
the giant robot, and Luffy is gone. Now at this point, a reoccurring theme you're going to see is that if Kizaru had any intent to fully kill Luffy at any point, which he never even had the intent to fight Luffy, there's multiple instances in which he could put in a lot more effort to do so. When
And I agree with this fully. I think if Kizaru wanted to kill Luffy, he could have. I'm fully agreeing with this. If he wanted to kill Luffy, he would. Like, you know what I mean? All right, let's keep going.
when he kicks him this hard, kicks him through the barrier, and Luffy's basically just in free fall, he could chase him out of the barrier. He could chase after him with the kick and just go after him with his sword if he wanted to. Chase him when he lands because he's taking a crazy amount of damage. He's reeling, he's rocked. Essentially, he doesn't. He doesn't even think about Luffy and just continues walking on over. So then he goes to Bonnie. He runs into Bonnie, and again, another person he has deep ties to from his 6 months spent on Vegapunk's island. He gives her the love tap
Oh
kick,
yeah, I
which is
remember
highlighted
this.
with the
He kicked
tap.
the shit
It
out of
says,
her
I'd rather
too.
not hurt
They
any
call it a
acquaintances.
love
Now,
tap.
he does
That
kick her
was
through the barrier, which
hilarious.
she ends up working out
Hilarious.
for scaling purposes because she goes through the same
Kicked the
barrier Luffy
shit
went
out
through
of
at
her,
100%,
bro.
which really
Kicked
kind of
the shit out of
dispels the
Bonnie,
notion
bro.
that comes later on. So he kicks her through this barrier. He didn't want to do it. And he even says, like, look how big she is now. Kids grow these days so fast. Because obviously he'd seen her as a kid. So then he goes past Frankie, and then here's the first instance in which he could have killed Vegapunk. So he stands in front of Vegapunk and he says, your escape plan is a failure, Vegapunk. Instead of coming in here with this dialogue, he just walks in casually. He could have just bull rushed through to Vegapunk right then and there. Instead, he sits here and
Exactly.
has a full-on
Exactly.
conversation. Luffy
Exactly.
comes back up from the barriers and grabs
Woo!
Kizaru
Gear
off guard.
4 time. Hold on. I want to pause it here real quick. I want to pause it here real quick. Hold on. Zoni, he matched a advanced armament fused conqueror's full power no named attack with his own named attack by coating his fist in ice. And advanced armament haki holding back. And I'm telling you, he was Garb. Yo, he wasn't trying to kill Garb, bro. Maybe he could have, because remember, Garb is very powerful, as we saw in the on Hashinasu, but he still is older, so he can't probably go the distance like he used to. So there's that too. March, sorry, match guard attack in the clash, bro. I agree. If he really wanted to kill Luffy, he would have succeeded in doing it. Not gonna lie. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Kizaru kicked the shit out of Snake Man Luffy, bro. Yo, for real. And then exactly here, when you see here this panel right here, he's like, yo, I thought you killed I thought I was about to die, bro. Cause you kicked me by that laser shield, bro. Crazy. Luffy gotta accept that Kizaru no diff Snake Man. That was overwhelming hybrid Kaido. Which that let me tell you something. That is a feat though. I got it. I listen, and I said this too. I got to give Luffy that. It was a big feat. That was a big feat for him to overwhelm Kaido like that. For him to just do a future sight. And I didn't even know Kaido could do future sight. He just decided that he just said, you hit me too much, bro. I gotta get out of here." He went to Snake Man, went into dragon form, and then mollywopped this dude right from behind. Crazy. Crazy. That and also forcing Kyle to use future sight. And Kizaru just overcame a stronger Snake Man with just one attack. Exactly. And I don't even think he was. Was he using? I gotta go back. I think he was using hockey hits. He wasn't even using hockey hits that I remember. And this is what I'm saying. So I don't understand why y'all keep saying Luffy's stronger than Kaido. He's not. He's not stronger than Kaido. He's not. I'm sorry, but he's not. I think he will surpass Kaido, yes, but I don't think he's stronger than Kaido now. No. Let's keep going, y'all.
The first of many off guards you're going to see. So Luffy comes back, and this is the point of hot debate. Thanks for kicking me all the way down there, jerk. Almost thought I was gonna die, comma, going through that barrier twice. So a lot of people try to bring up like, oh, it wasn't Kizaru's kick, which is so disingenuous because the whole point of the kick, the explosion, and then going through the barriers, that it's the totality of the situation that fucked Luffy up.
Exactly.
Regardless, even if you want to say it was simply the barrier that damaged Luffy, the barrier is literally just a laser cage made of light that shoots a laser just the same way Kizaru can. And Kizaru arguably would just scale over the laser cage anyway, given that he can control his output and it has no effect on him whatsoever.
True, true,
So those
true.
lasers have at best the same amount of potency Kizaru has, but reasonably should be less. Then Bonnie went through the same exact barrier. So unless you think that it's like a situation where Luffy only has 2 times the durability of Bonnie and Bonnie could survive it while remaining cognizant the entire time going through.
I think I just won my taxes.
Oh yeah?
Oh,
I just switched
sorry
from
guys, I got an
TurboTax
ad.
to H&R Block. It was so easy.
It really just doesn't pan out the way you think it does. Him coming back through it a second time shouldn't do this significant of an amount of damage to where he thinks he's almost gonna die, etc., etc. When Bonnie has gone through the same 100% barrier, it just doesn't line up logically. It's obviously from the totality of the situation, if anything. And honestly, I think Luffy's hyperbolizing the situation anyway. I don't think he really was almost gonna die. That notion is just weird. But then this is the first time you see that Kizaru clearly understands what Gear 5 is. He's like, oh, so this is the thing you do. We don't really understand why he has this knowledge. It could be from the
Right. Yo, I
backstory when
remember
he's talking about
Kizaru was
hearing about it
shook
from
when he
Kumo
saw
when he has
Gear
the
5,
Nika dance.
bro.
Could just be that the elders let him know as they were on their way. That being said, in 1093, we see that Luffy, who has Kizaru grabbed, tries spinning him around, and here's where you see that Kizaru still remains extremely calm, still has his usual dialect, as
Exactly,
highlighted by
bro.
Sandman
Look
AP.
at him.
He gets
He
spun
taking
around and
this with
thrown
ease, bro.
into the ocean, essentially. Luffy tries throwing him off the map into the ocean, and he keeps on laughing. Luffy, of course, is stated to get stronger as he laughs regardless. Kizaru then waits until the very last second with his arms crossed, arms folded, completely nonchalant, till he's a literal, like, foot away from the water to turn it back around, come back up with Sacred Jewel, which Sacred Jewel, it doesn't work as an attack in this facet. He just turns it into his light clones.
Oh, I
So then when
remember
he turns it
this.
back
Yeah,
into his
yeah,
light
yeah,
clones,
yeah, yeah.
he gets back up there in an instant. Luffy is surprised, and all these clones start going after Luffy.
Yeah, he
At this
started
point,
doing the
very
Shadow
important to
Clone
highlight,
Jutsu
Luffy
out
has
here.
000 idea where the actual body of Kizaru is. He actually
Exactly.
thinks that he might be among these clones, so he can't even differentiate who Kizaru actually is. But that said,
Right.
one of the clones pulls out his sword and is able to draw blood from Luffy, landing the first attack, and he was the first one to
Ooh.
attack Luffy anyway. Understand that clones that don't even scale to Kizaru's actual power are able to damage Luffy, so we understand that it should be obvious at this point anyway from the other situation, Kizaru can easily damage.
And this is the other thing too. Luffy hasn't made a decisive hit yet. He hasn't hit homie. Kizaru's just been deflecting. And then on top of that, he made Luffy draw blood too with the sword. So at this point, Luffy's still not hitting it. I mean, yeah, he grabbed him and threw him, but that was it.
Luffy. With this said, Luffy then gets chased by the clones, and it actually seems that Luffy is similar in speed to these guys, but he basically like baits them into a trick because they seem pretty simple-minded. He ends up hitting Dawn Whip, and then they don't really have any durability. He just kicks through the light, and he thinks, oh, did I get the real one? And has no idea that the real Kizaru is right below him, choking out his boy Usopp. This is another example of a prime period where Kizaru could literally just inflict massive amounts of damage to Luffy if he had any inkling of wanting to hurt or defeat or kill Luffy in any kind of way. When Luffy has no idea where he's at and is literally occupied by his clones, and he doesn't even sense the man that's right below him, Kizaru can easily go up there himself with his own sword and cut through Luffy. It's just as easy. Or he could shoot beams from below. Anything he wanted to do, any kind of attack, he could have launched up into the sky and done his acceleration kick with an off-guard Luffy this time. And even imagine if he does his acceleration with his sword. He comes down accelerating and stabs through Luffy. What do you think happens there? Obviously, these are hypotheticals, but it really reinforces the point that Kizaru has no intent to kill Luffy, and his mission is simply all that he's there for, while being conflicted and while not actively even really wanting to do this. Unclear justice is very prominent within this one.
I see Zoni coming in again. Broken. Yeah, I saw that. Base Kaku survived the barrier. True. Remember, even Kaido Spike Club couldn't cut Luffy. It was always weird that he never cut him. I was always thinking that. I always thought that. That's true. And the clone did that with one swing. And Kaido swung multiple times with the spikes and it absolutely did nothing. I mean, it hit Luffy pretty good, but yeah, I don't even think it could. I think it could anybody else though. Now that I think about it, I don't know.
So at this point, when Luffy figures out where he is, Kizaru then gets up onto the ledge before Luffy could get down to him and shoots off another beam. When he shoots this beam, Luffy does intercept the beam, and we see that Luffy eats the beam and says that it burned him on the inside.
Yeah,
so we know that the light beams
Yo,
inherently just burn him. We cut
this
away
was
again,
crazy.
and the Vegapunk continues moseying on along, and we get another period of time where they're fighting off screen, where it's just a hot pursuit chase, where Kizaru keeps going after the Vegapunk, Luffy keeps going after him
instead of kicking him.
Cetera,
See, this is what I'm saying. See?
Now, Kizaru, again, I think that within his character, it's pretty simple. You've seen this time and time again at Marineford, Sabaody, where he's held back all these other times just because his lazy nature. He stated to...
Wait, hold on. While his devil fruit is about speed, he's rather slow when it comes to speaking or taking action. He can he can be so quick that those who are around him he can be so quick that only those with who are very good with observation haki are capable of spotting him. Observation and armament user. If he has conquerors or not is not confirmed. So okay, so Kizaru does have observation and he's an armament user. Well, I assume the armament observation. I'm not sure. I haven't seen him use it, so I don't know. I don't know if he has conquerors. Maybe he does. I don't know. It'd be pretty surprising if he does though. I don't know if he has observation though. That's actually a good question. I don't know.
Be slow, very slow to take action, but especially in a situation where he's mentally conflicted. Obviously, Kizaru doesn't need to stand in a spot and then shoot a beam. He could just beam himself over there and finish the job himself. Like, especially with some of the speed showings we see later, and obviously the acceleration thing. The most optimal course is for him to just beam over there physically and just cut through the fucking tank with his sword or anything, and there's nobody that's going to stop that. With that being the case, we understand that this is the common thread. Kizaru shoots a beam, Luffy blocks it. He's like, oh fuck, I guess fate has saved him. We then cut to the biggest point of strife at the moment, which is the 1094 interaction, which concludes with the White Star gun and all of this. Now, the big things to note at the beginning of this is I mentioned that this was an all-screen fight that took place for a period of time that was pretty significant based on the dialect.
Sorry, real quick, guys. I kind of not hate, but it kind of annoyed me when a lot of stuff happened off screen, like Luffy going Snake Man or Luffy going Gear 5 with Lucci. Like I'm glad we got that extra thing we got with Lucci, so hopefully we'll get that in the anime too, because we can see how Luffy went to Gear 4. I think he went to Gear 4 automatically. I'm not even gonna hold y'all. After that kick, I can see Luffy going to Gear 4 straight. I mean, because Luffy will do that depending on how strong you are, especially now in the story where he just went. He can go Gear 4 in base form. You know what I mean? And he be going Gear 5 too, just randomly. You know what I mean? Depending on how strong that person is.
And the way that these characters are huffing and puffing. We understand that they were fighting, and we see that Kizaru is able to block all Gear 5's attacks when he's on guard. Luffy is using
That
something,
means he
seems
has
like
to
some kind of
counterforce
Gatling
to
attack. We
endure,
obviously can't see the
otherwise he
specifics of
blocks
it,
when
but
he
he's throwing multiple attacks at once, very similar to the interaction with Gear 4 that I showed earlier. And Kizaru blocks all these attacks with relative ease. He then says, "Listen, sorry, I can't keep playing around, I can't keep spending all my time with you. If I do, I can't
and
fulfill
he's
my
getting
mission."
tired too.
And Luffy says, "Yes, but that's my mission." Wheeze wheeze,
And they
we got the
both get
huff huff
tired.
from Kizaru. At this point, Kizaru basically gave him a heads up that he is going to dip away again, and yet we see another clear indication that Kizaru is massively faster than Gear 5, blitzes away from Gear 5, and Luffy is left in the dust. Even with the heads up that he was going to leave, there was no means of stopping it, and he cannot contend with Kizaru's speed when he actually applies himself. But this being said, we get to the point where everybody kind of took notice of Saturn showing up. Then Kizaru gets ready to shoot another beam at the Vegapunk, and instead of just going after it physically, again, he waits up in the sky and shoots a beam. Now, this miss is very suspect considering we've seen Kizaru shoot a key point blank with pristine accuracy at Marineford out of somebody's
I
hand
forgot he did that.
from a
That is
pretty
a
far
crazy
ranging
shot
distance,
too.
and yet he misses a giant Vegapunk. It's very, very weird and suspect, but that's kind of the trope that we see going on.
I
With that
never
being
thought
said,
he.
Luffy
I, you
finally
know
catches up.
what's crazy? I'm glad I'm watching this video, man, because I never really noticed that Kizaru did that. It's actually kind of crazy. Not conquerors, but he has armament relative to Kuzan. That's true, and comparable to Akainu, which is crazy. And people tell me I am crazy, but Kizaru did the same exact thing to Akainu as training as Akainu. If y'all didn't know that, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, as we saw with Aokiji doing the Battleship Bag episode, it makes sense. I mean, they're admirals for a reason, bro. I know they got the Logia powers, but they also got to be strong without the powers too. And there is all and also their best friends. So both of them joined the Navy in their 20s. True, 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 true. But yo, this just shows you that yo, Kizaru could have killed the Straw Hats at any time if he wanted to, bro. He come on.
To Kizaru after he's in a stationary state, and he comes over here, and Kizaru says something very interesting. You must be reaching your limit right now, calling back to how long that they were fighting, what he had seen from Luffy, and it just talks about like that fight was really a strenuous thing that was happening where Luffy was clearly putting a ton of effort in on the outside. That being said, Kizaru doesn't seem very flustered with it, doesn't really seem like it's really a threat to him, just that it's more so a nuisance. There you see the "you must be reaching your limit by now." He then casually turns around and shoots a light beam at Luffy. Now people have been thinking that Luffy had dodged this beam. He did not. It actually makes contact with him, and you see the whack impact frame. Now the reason that it
Oh,
making
okay.
contact is very important here, because when it makes contact, it hits Luffy in his shoulder when he was
Yeah, and
already
it
weight
spins
imbalanced by
around. Yeah,
loading
yeah,
up
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
muscle arm, and he was off balance. So when he's off kilter, he essentially goes into this uncontrolled tailspin, which
yeah.
is
Right.
amplified by the beam that just hit him in the perfect spot on his shoulder to rapidly force this spin. You can clearly tell that Luffy is not in control when he goes into this spin, as he starts screaming out and has the funny expression. At that point, this is a credit to Luffy here. Great moment for Luffy where he uses his battle IQ, uses his goofy nature to his advantage, and uncorks the White Star gun mid tailspin. Something that
Oh, I
Kizaru was
remember that.
clearly not
That
expecting,
was a
as you
cool
see the
attack. I actually
visible
like that attack too.
and question mark. So you understand that Kizaru, for one, thinks that Luffy should be out of his form, should be reaching his limit, and then he's seen the bounds of what Luffy can do, and is already shown to be able to react and outspeed Gear 5 Luffy.
You could
We then
also
see
see
that when
him
he
doing
lands
the
an attack
haki
on
right then
Luffy,
and there in
he
that
sees
panel
a guy
too,
that's literally
on the
in an
bottom
uncontrolled
right.
tailspin and drops his guard. Now, you may call
Ooh.
that a fucking skill issue on Kizaru's part for
And
dropping
he's
his guard, but
yo, okay. And he's using his what do you call it? His awakening with the conquerors, bro. He's using awakening with conquerors added to it. And I love this panel too, bro, because you can see the lights are out in Kizaru's eyes, bro. He's a little bit gone, bro. You know what I'm saying? Awesome, awesome, awesome.
But it's just what happens. It's the way it was written, and that's very much in Kizaru's character to go.
Mind you, Kaido was hit by a weaker version of the same attack, which list paired for an attack, yet people don't keep the same energy. Yeah, this is the same one. And Kizaru, I remember, got up right after that, and so did Kaido. So y'all can't sit here and tell me that Kizaru's not stronger.
Go into things with a lackadaisical state, as he had no issues with Luffy prior to this, and really had no reason to really believe that any threat was imminent. Now, people are talking about what about observation haki? Now, observation haki works very, very differently in One Piece. People think that it's just this passive, all knowing ability, and yes, it sometimes can be used passively where you see characters like Sanji wake up when he notices something. You have the Whitebeard instance where it seems like he's groggy and he reacts to Ace, etc., etc., but it does not always work at the same capacity at all times.
Right.
You see that it's stated
Right.
numerous times that if you're fatigued, your observation haki is lessened. If you are in distress, your observation haki is weakened.
Right. Like
if
we
you're
saw with
not calm, if you
Katakuri,
get
right.
worked up, etc.,
Right, like
etc.,
Katakuri.
etc.
Right.
All these times where you see that observation haki is not something that's just blanket at this point. You also need to be actively using Future Said to use it. We see this highlighted with Kaido, who doesn't use it the entirety of Onigashima until he decides he's just going to copy Luffy and use it. So Kizaru feels like, Luffy is not really a big threat, drops his guard. It's the clearest cut
My man
surprise
put the
attack
off guard
you're going to see.
definition,
People have
bro.
a confusion
Crazy.
between a distraction. They think the only ways of off guard are to be distracted. That's not the case. It's like the square and the rectangle. Square is always a rectangle, but a rectangle is not a square. A distraction is always going to make something be off guard, but
He
an off
actually
guard
got
does
to
not
put
have
that.
to be
That's
a
funny.
distraction. So he wasn't necessarily distracted here, although you can argue that he's, obviously distracted within his mind with the mental nerve, but that's not really the big thing here. It's more so just that he drops his guard because, like, Luffy just got hit with this beam, he's in a tailspin, and then Luffy uncorked a punch he's not prepared for and he hadn't seen. So then you even see that Kizaru, like, kind of notices at the last second, but Luffy's kind of close to Kizaru's like baseline speed without amplifying. And there's a relativity of some sort. Any tip and balance to the scales is going to allow for an attack to land, and that's simply what happens here. Luffy had the slight advantage there with the surprise, and he was able to land the attack. It's like if me and you are in a boxing match, I throw punches at you, you react to me, we go back and forth, and then all of a sudden I throw a cross at you, you block it, and then all of a sudden a growth comes out of my forearm, wraps around and hits you. You were looking at me, right? But you're still off guard. So it's very simple like that. He gets hit and he says, I'm seeing stars. Luffy actually legitimately spawned in stars here. We then see them crash land to the ground, and we get some very interesting dialogue from Saturn, where Saturn says, this is rather sluggish work by your standards, Kizaru, and it seems to tell me that there was an assumption because it didn't seem that Saturn ever wanted to get off the ship. Kizaru was there for his protection, and that it seemed that their whole objective was that, Kizaru was enough to take on Luffy.
So let me say this though, really quick. I can admit that surprise attack that did knock down Kizaru. It was a surprise attack. He didn't see it coming. That was it. You know what I mean? I don't even think he had time to use observation hockey, even if he did have it. So I'll give Luffy that. But other than that, yo, dude, he was still on him, bro. It's an admiral. Oh, hold on, Mount Zoni, you in the chat, bro, for real. Bro had Usopp in his hands, bro. Ronnie, Frankie, Chopper, Robin, Sanji. He met them and could have just blitzed them or stabbed them or kicked the life out of them. This is true. He kept blitzing Gear 5 Luffy. Also true. Sorry, correction, Kizaru. Perception blitz makes Snake Man Luffy. Nah, Kizaru observation is at an insane Luffy. What do you mean by that, bro? Oh, I see the rest. I'm sorry. Because he specifically shot with the tiny little keyhole at Luffy's hands with Marineford from hundreds of miles away of meters with ease. Which is true. That is a hard shot to make, bro. Remember, the White Star gun made Kaido go to his knees and had to recover for a while. Yeah, but it wasn't even that long, I feel like. I feel like it was about like 5 seconds or so. Then he got right back up. You know what I mean? But even yet and still, Kizaru still got up from that. And Luffy was done. Donezo. If it wasn't for Kizaru, I don't know if he's gonna mention this yet, but when Kizaru gave him that food, like we found out in the SBS, Luffy was able to go to Gear 5 again. So to sit there and tell me that Luffy's stronger than Kizaru, no, he's not.
With that said, Kizaru, this is the big point where everybody that's against Kizaru clings onto, says, I'm sorry, I've failed you, and I don't think I'll be mobile anytime soon. And Saturn, even then, is not necessarily buying it 100%, but because he's fighting with Luffy, who is a Yonko, he's like, I think I can understand why, and kind of lets it slide, giving Kizaru kind of carte blanche to be like, all right, this is acceptable behavior. You got to use your critical thinking here, especially with all the context we have later. We'll circle back to this in a minute. The big point of emphasis here is that it took everything Luffy had to knock Kizaru down momentarily. There's a direct comparison to when he gets back up from when he's fighting Kaido, where he tells Kaido verbatim he's not at his limit, and then when he punches Kizaru and he says, yes, I'm at my limit, and he literally is, because we see that he cannot move a muscle and his durability literally went down to zero. He needed
Exactly.
Frankie to protect him from
He's
Saturn's
looking like
attack,
an
and
old
when Frankie
grapefruit right
protected
now,
him,
bro.
he
Come
punched
on.
him with a non-haki coated, because Frankie doesn't even have haki, punch, where Luffy is supposed to be impervious to blunt force damage and physical damage. Yet he spits up blood very clearly.
I didn't even notice
takes
that.
internal
That's
wounds
crazy.
from Frankie's
You
punch.
see that?
With that
It's
said,
crazy.
you understand that at that point, Luffy is completely tapped, and Kizaru, who gets up seconds after this, which we will get into, literally won this interaction at this point. If nobody is able to heal Luffy and get him the food that he needs to be able to.
Sorry, guys. Zoni. Meanwhile, Kizaru brushed it off later, and Perception blitz everyone on the. Oh, I forgot to tell you that you have to watch the video where he talks about Oda telling us that Kizaru had the chance to kill Luffy when he was completely done and finished. All right, I'll look that up. I'll look that up for another time. I got you, bro.
Move, as he literally cannot move a muscle, and with durability literally at the depths of hell. Kizaru, who can shoot beams out of anywhere in his body, doesn't even need to have gotten back up. He can just simply sit up and shoot beams, but he can get back up, which is very easy to understand right after, and just go over there and stab Luffy till he finishes. So if they're in a barren wasteland, even with all the context we have beforehand, with the mental nerf, with the not actively trying to fight Luffy, all this, and that, Kizaru would still have won this interaction on a barren wasteland, even without fighting him serious, even with all that. So that's why it seems very clear cut to me that Kizaru is still very clearly above Luffy whilst holding back. Now, we're going to get into the rest of this thing. Now, the point people are going to say, oh, bro, what do you mean seconds later? He's down for chapters, 15, 20 chapters.
Saturn gives the Marines an order to shoot Bonnie pre-backstory. After the story, they still haven't shot. They still haven't shot at Kizaru sits up.
He's down. Guys, out of these chapters that he's down, from chapter 1095 to fucking 1103, the 9 chapters that he's down, so to speak, are literally all backstory chapters. Literally all backstory where nothing takes place in the story. He comes down, and then when we cut back in 1103, what ends up happening is it's very easy to understand that Kizaru, when he's sitting up, and first off, he doesn't even think of Luffy when he was on the ground. He was in the same spot, and he thinks of Sentomaru and Bonnie, highlighting again that he's conflicted and thinking about those guys. Then you see that Luffy got his food, which we still have no idea who gave him the food, and Kizaru's weirdly and mysteriously in a different spot. I don't know who gave him food, though, so I'm not going to make any claims. We see that Kizaru sits there. At this point, he's literally just like, fine. He's fine. Like, he's literally fine, and he's just watching and observing things take place. His face looks scot-free, clean, right after the fact. It's like, what the fuck? And he didn't even think about the damage. At this point, I'm wondering, for one, I think that obviously, like, when something like that hits you, it was kind of like a flashbang anyway. He might have been blinded by the fucking stars. Obviously, I'm sure it did affect him in some way. I don't want to be fucking disingenuous. I think Luffy can damage him. He used an advanced conqueror's attack, but it's very minimal to a point where Kizaru is not like in any way close to losing or anything like this. He just takes this and kind of takes it in stride and doesn't even acknowledge it. He then sits back up, right? And we see this whole interaction play out with Kuma, where Kizaru is very clearly watching this all play out, especially highlighted in the backstory that he's friends with Kuma, Bonnie, Vegapunk, Sentomaru, all these people. So he watches this play out. He watches Kuma.
Which that was the most shocking thing to me, to be honest with you. That they were actually friends. Like Kuma, Bonnie, and Vegapunk, Sentomaru, they were all cool with each other. I feel like that was like the one of the most shocking things of Egghead. I feel like because we saw no interactions with them at all. Oda just answered one of the biggest mysteries of One Piece 4 months ago. After you finished the video, Oda broke down the panel of Luffy eating in a 5 minute video. So, oh really? All right, I gotta check that out later. Okay.
Kuma uncorked this giant punch, and then the first thing you see is Kizaru says, "Damn, it's over," and he grabs his head and he's like, "Fuck." Like, I now am gonna have to probably put down all these people potentially. Like, I have to get back up now. Saturn's been hit. This is just super unfortunate. He's literally
Yeah.
just watching it take place. So at this point, I was like, fuck, I better get my ass up. So he gets up and he goes over to start fight. Again, doesn't go after Luffy here. Doesn't
No,
go after Luffy here. Even
that is
after
true.
Luffy
That
started,
is
he's
true.
still on the ground feasting.
is
He's still in a
true.
very vulnerable state, not up. And
That
we
is
see that
very
Kizaru
true.
doesn't even think of Luffy. There's no fucking cause to think of the guy. He doesn't care. He just goes over there, like fucking stands in front of Vegapunk. He kicked Frankie out of the way. He went over there and stood next to him, and then he has more mental confliction moments where Vegapunk is fucking talking like, "Oh, what kind of man are you?" Blah 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 blah. So guys, it is so simple to understand that this was never the intention of Kizaru. This arc isn't even meant for Kizaru to get crazy feats. It's literally like Sanji and WCI, where it's a character arc. Kizaru is on a crazy character arc right now, where we are
That's true.
seeing
I think
that
he
this
gonna quit
guy
the
is going
Marines,
through the
bro.
worst day
I
of his
think
life from a
so.
mental standpoint.
Because I
He
want to
is
know
conflicted. We're
why
seeing unclear justice play out right in
he's
front of
with
our
the
eyes.
Marines.
It's meant to be this tragedy. That's the
Right.
point. So
Right.
anyway,
'Cause he
we
had to kill
continue
his best
on.
friend,
Luffy
too.
finally gets back up. Kizaru's going to kill Bonnie and Kuma with, a special Japanese phrase where he says it's
Oh,
going
I
to be
remember that.
painless.
He
Obviously conflicted
launched the
again. Luffy
shit
off
out
guards
of
him with another
Kizaru with
punch.
that punch,
Kizaru
bro.
just gets back up from again.
With haki.
So he eats that punch. He then stands in front of Luffy. And mind you, this is after Luffy got fully healed, fully recovered. Kizaru got no help to get back up. Kizaru doesn't have an awaken zone. Kizaru doesn't have a food amp. He doesn't have any of this shit. And he's already essentially won. Luffy gets back up at full power. He takes another attack. He then fucking comes over, gets back up again, stands in front of Luffy, and makes a claim. At this rate, they're going to expect me to take all your heads. Again, reinforcing the fact that Kizaru was expected to win here, regardless of the opposition. So when he says that, we basically see that he kills Vegapunk right in front of Luffy. So a whole Yonko crew couldn't protect one old man from Kizaru, who wasn't even actively trying to fight them or actively fully committed to the kill. And you see that he goes like in the most distressed moment ever.
Yeah.
After killing Vegapunk, they put emphasis on his dark sunglasses, where he had said before he wanted the darker sunglasses. After killing Vegapunk, he literally stands there, doesn't move, lets Sanji run by him, pick up Vegapunk again after kicking Sanji. So we already know he's way faster than Sanji. So if he wants to stop Sanji there, he could. So he's hesitating already. We got the wavering makes you weak fucking statement from Garp. We have the fucking Ennis Lobby instance where Luffy was conflicted about fucking helping Robin, whether she wanted to help, and it's shown that they get stronger. You have to never doubt that's power from Rayleigh. You have numerous times the Gonfall statement, you're at your weakest when you doubt. To never doubt that is power, etc., etc. Like, it's hammered over your fucking head. So you got that. He then fucking is like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna have to give chase. I don't know if he's dead or not. So he fucking starts moving toward getting after
Luffy
Sanji,
was getting
and Luffy
at both
grabs him again off
Kizaru
guard. So every
and
single instance that Luffy has landed
Saturn
an attack
with
or
the
done
giant
anything
form.
like grab, it's all been off guard. So there's no actual feats for Luffy in this fight. And then people think like, oh, he turned him into a pancake, bro. Like, guys, that's Luffy's ability, guys. He turned Kaido into a fucking jump rope. That's what you're gonna see going forward
in dragon form, mind you. He didn't do it in high before. We did it in dragon
form. It's like a Kainu burning.
Everybody want to keep
using
using
magma.
that.
What the fuck is supposed to happen when an attack lands? There's gonna be tune effects in this form. Just what happens. So Kizaru was already grabbed. There was never a 2v1. He's in his hand. There's no fight that takes place. Luffy doesn't react to Kizaru physically attacking him. He dodges some beams that Sentomaru can dodge. They're not impressive. He does the pancake thing. He throws Kizaru over to the fucking ship. And that's essentially the end of what we're seeing. But then when you see him on the ship, you see that Sandman AP's come out and said this. And it should be very fucking clear that he's down from mental confliction. He's down from mental wounds. The deep wound he's referencing is traumatic responses to the situation of killing. I wonder if they're gonna add him crying, fighting all his friends, and just the distress of the situation, which should be very clear. And you got people going over this. Oh, why are there medics nearby then? The medics are telling you that they don't see any wounds. They're saying, show us your wounds. Where are the wounds? Why are you down? And Kizaru's like, am I wounded? Deeply wounded. Like, can't get more cookie cutter than this. People want to
Oh
say
yeah,
like,
for sure.
"Oh, what if
I like
Kizaru
this. I
died if there
like
was no
this. I like
battleship?"
this
Like it's
video,
the
yo.
dumbest shit
I
ever.
like
For
this dude
one, you've
also.
already seen him get thrown before, and he reacts at the very last second. It's just in his nature to take action at the very slowest. He literally reacted at the last second, right before he was about to go into the water, before he came back up the last time. This time, he fucking lands in the ship before that even can occur. And then he's on the ship and he's not in a position where he cannot fight. He's in a position where he does
Right.
not want to fight anymore. And he's already just
Right.
been like, fuck it, just let me rest. He's accomplished his mission, and there's really no reason for him to do that. The Gorsei's already there at that point. I'm sure he obviously senses that they're there. Now, I do think there's going to be something else coming. That's why I delayed making it, because I don't think that this story's wrapped up. I think there's going to be more to happen at the end, because the character arc is Kizaru's character arc for this arc. So I don't know what that's gonna be, but we have a 3-week break, so I want to get this video out. I think I
Bottom
covered
level
everything,
high
but I'm
diff.
sure there'll be somebody nitpicking something. It's really just this simple, guys. Luffy was already scaling below Kizaru from the events before this, but I'm not going to get into all the scaling
Right.
beforehand. You can go check out my fucking
Okay.
Kizaru scale on this.
All right, y'all. That is the end of the video. Okay. All right. So a couple thoughts. Well, actually, before I get there, hey, bro, hey, bro, you were at 525. Now you're at 549. Oh, I am? I didn't even check that. Congratulations, bro. I know you since you were 450 plus. Really? I didn't know that. Wow. Thank you, Zoni. I really appreciate that, man. Um, wow, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's kind of crazy how fast I'm growing. Mind you, I've been doing this for like since 2020, so this has been a long time since I've been doing this, man. And to get it to 500, it's crazy. Like, thank you. I really appreciate that, man. I know you since Kizaru at his weakest, fighting a full powered. Sorry, Kizaru is at his weakest, fighting a full powered Luffy 2 times Gear 5. Right. His deeply wounded mentally, not physically. I agree with that too. He broke down part 2 of it in the video I just told you about. Uh, I might have to do that for another day, Sony, because it's actually kind of getting late for me because I gotta, do stuff. I'm gonna check that out later, bro. Just remind me. I'm gonna check that out later. All right. So my quick thoughts about this. I like the video. I really like this video. Watch it real quick to finish it up, please. Okay. All right. Let's see. Really quick, really quick, really quick. Okay, okay. Um, nah, it's only for you. I'll do it real quick, real quick. I think you said it was 5 minutes, right? Do you know the name of the video? Could you tell me real quick, please? Oh wait, maybe it might.
This page, if you want to go see the events prior to Egghead, why he scales above Kaido, who scales above Luffy. He did something. We'll disagree. I know it's a long video, but if you made it this far, I appreciate it. To all my subscribers, supporters, and yeah, spread this around. Put a health.
Let me see if I go. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Oh, he got a scope of Gabbana analysis. I gotta watch that the next time. My boy, do you got the link to the video? Yeah, can you send it to me, please, if you have it? Because I don't see it here. Oh, he got an analysis of Jinbei versus who's who? All right, I gotta check this. All right, he got mad at him. Sanji versus Kid, Loki, Garland. All right, I gotta check this out. Okay. Wait, is it by Allfather Silver or is it by someone else? Oh, okay, so it is his. Okay, it's just 4 months ago. Okay, no problem. Uh, two. You said 4 months ago, right? Uh, before. Okay, I see. Oh, I think I did see this. It's actually 10 minutes, bro. I think I did see this, but we can watch it again. That's fine.
It doesn't matter what your goal is, making a resume, writing an essay, or drafting a cover letter, Grammarly takes your writing game to the next level.
What a day in the One Piece community, and what a day for the Admiral Agenda. I shouldn't even say Admiral Agenda because this is the agenda of anybody with any common sense, okay? So today, huge confirmation if you did not know already, SBS 110, these are the questions Oda asks every time a volume releases. He confirmed that Kizaru is the one that gave Luffy food when Luffy was down, incapacitated after the fight with
Yeah,
Kizaru,
I
and he
saw
couldn't
this. Yeah,
protect himself with
yeah, yeah.
Saturn. His durability was literally in the depths of hell. He took internal damage from a punch from Frankie when he's supposed to be impervious to blunt force damage. Mind you, Frankie without haki. Kizaru is the one that fed him. You got clear indications of this in the actual chapter, as you saw Kizaru's ramen bowl that he was eating with in the
Don't
beginning
worry
of the
about it.
arc,
It's cool.
right
It's
next to
cool.
Luffy. You also seen that Kizaru was on the ground, looking at Bonnie in trouble, looking at Sentomaru in trouble on this page. Then Luffy gets food. You see it cuts back to Kizaru, who has dots over his head, and he's moved into a completely new position. It was very clear to anybody with any media literacy. I talked about this a little bit on my TikTok. But now it's great to see that Oda has absolutely confirmed it. And this proves multiple things. It proves, one, that he perception blitzed the fuck out of everybody in the vicinity. Sanji, Frankie, the Gorosei member, Saturn. Two,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
could have
yeah,
killed
yeah,
Luffy
yeah.
literally right here, right now. I already talked about his durability
Yeah,
being
yeah, yeah, yeah,
terrible in
yeah,
this
yeah.
moment. And he had the wherewithal to go over there. This is, mind you, seconds later. Because I told you, in my Kizaru vs. Luffy video, full fight analysis,
You
well
just saw that.
documented. You can go check
Okay.
this out if you want the full, uninterrupted scaling breakdown of the entire fight. We go through every single thing in that video. The flashback makes it seem like a ton of time has passed, but there's not, because you see that Bonnie was grabbed by Saturn. They still hadn't shot by the time the flashback ended, and now we know that Kizaru was already up and moving by that time. That's just that simple, and he had the speed to move there, go get the food. It's an insane feat. It's an insane feat any way you slice it. And I just want to like bring up some of these comments that I thought were funny on Twitter. It's just like the Jan Cope going around, bro. So you had worse.
Kizaru not just gave Luffy the food, he most likely even moved Luffy away so that the Navy soldiers couldn't find Luffy. Imagine so fast that Sanji, Saturn, and company didn't even notice that you helped Luffy. Yeah, that's the crazy part, bro. Cause we just saw him just move out of nowhere. So yeah, yeah. Bro dropped the F bomb out of nowhere. My bad. Forgot about that. Hey, that's okay. I cuss on here too. It's fine. It's fine.
Gen reporting that Kizaru gave Luffy the food. He had somebody say, it's not Kizaru, bro. Gen's like, it is. Frankie and Sanji couldn't move because it's Saturn. Kizaru wouldn't
Right.
give his enemy food no matter what. Read the new SBS. Oda kinda hinted at it. Sanji also speed of light. If not, he would just straight out say it. But Sanji couldn't move, man. Don't you understand this? Sanji and Frankie couldn't move because of Saturn's powers. And then
Yeah,
you
see,
got
this
the
is the
guy who's
kind
a
of
dumbass.
issue. This is the
But
kind
that's what
of
you see.
arguments
Like,
I
you
be
see this
getting
level of
already.
argumentation. Like, Sanji could not move.
And even YouTube.
Frankie could not move. Sentomaru was tied up. The only other people mentioned in this, and Oda said speed of light multiple times. He was paralyzed by Saturn. Oda set this up beautifully to make it so it's very clear the only person that was capable of moving.
Literally couldn't move until after Kuma punched Saturn. He says he can finally move after Kuma hit him here. He literally couldn't move until after Kuma punched Saturn. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Was Kizaru.
Yo,
That's the
Kizaru
point.
was
And the only person capable.
yo, Kizaru was out here just playing the system. Bro moved Luffy with the blink of an eye. Noticed, even we the reader. Yo, for real, bro. He was playing the system, bro. He is breaking the fourth wall, bro. It's crazy.
Capable of moving that
It's
fast,
crazy work.
especially. So you have that situation, right?
But it's also cool that it also shows the growth of the Straw Hats too. The fact that he's strong, they're strong enough for Kizaru stuff like this, like help Luffy out. Now, I think he's only doing this just because of Vegapunk. I think that's why he's doing it, but still.
And you also have shit like this. Like, you have people that think, like, this guy, I think, he's a troll because, he's come out and said, like, oh, he kind of conceded the Shiryu thing after, Blackbeard's statement about Garp, but, he's running his agenda, whatever the case, it's funny. But he's like, the only two characters who can canonically move invisible when they move. Wrong. It's actually just based on the opposing person's perception. It's been
Which
stated
is true.
numerous times.
If you could
Bluno
move
went
fast
invisible
enough, yes,
against
you
fucking
can.
Luffy. He
Right.
was invisible with the shave technique. Anybody
Right.
that can use shave can move invisible based on the
Right.
person
Yo,
they're
he
fighting.
blitzed the
Fucking
fuck out
Luffy
of Luffy in
stated
here.
to vanished in Whole Cake. Like, there's multiple instances of this, and I can go on and on with them.
Katakuri.
It's just based on the person they're
Blitzed
fighting.
the
The only
fuck out
difference
of
with
Luffy.
Sanji was that Sanji held it. It's a stamina thing at best, where it's like he just maintained that level of speed for a prolonged period because it was out of necessity. Queen even states beforehand, this is the dumbest thing Sanji could have done, because the moment he stops, he's going to be tapped on stamina. He's going to be done. That's why Sanji collapses after their fight. It's not optimal to do, but he had to do it because he didn't know where Queen was, because Queen's invisibility. It was the only way to even the odds. And honestly, not going to get into all the Sanji shit, but he was kind of saved by the fact that Queen fucked up and went for the girl with the mouse, because that's how Sanji figured out where he was. With that said, one more for you.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah.
This shit encapsulated everything I was thinking perfectly.
So after the fight, while Luffy was looking for like this, Kizaru recovered, got up, blitzed the Gorosei, Frank, Sanji, Bonnie, and everyone. Fetched and delivered food to Luffy while all being mentally nervous.
Everything everybody should be thinking. So after their fight, while Luffy was looking like this, Kizaru recovered, got up, blitzed the Gorosei, Frankie, Sanji, Bonnie, and everyone, fetched and delivered food to Luffy, all while being mentally nerved. Noticed. Then in the comments, you have somebody saying, oh, Luffy's still stronger or something like that. Because people are saying this like with no basis whatsoever. My whole video just completely disproves this. He's like, Kizaru could have killed Luffy right here.
People don't pay. It's just people don't pay attention,
it's
or
over,
just
bro.
they don't
Stop
pay
hurting
attention.
yourself. The guy said, yet he couldn't. This grassy glide guy says, yet he didn't. It's awesome, bro. Because you're seeing that based on like the like ratio, usually like you'd have like all people liking the Luffy side. And I'm not like, you know, appealing to popularity, but it's interesting to see. And I like seeing the fact that people are waking up to this. And it's beautiful to see that it's like, it's so obvious. If you're going against Kizaru at this moment, you're literally in denial, straight up being disingenuous and lying, or need to go get your IQ check stat. Because it's indisputable at this point. Oda reinforced this multiple times. That's why he gave you a color-coded fucking thing calling out people's reading comprehension and egghead. He made sure to give Kizaru the scene, emphasizing the mental nerve. He made sure that there was no fucking physical wounds on his body, and gave him a direct Japanese phrase talking about mentally wounded because killing his best friend. He just keeps coming back and bringing this shit up. So it's great to see that everything we were talking about months and months ago aged perfectly. They called us delusional. They said we were theorizing. No, it was just fucking that obvious. We shouldn't even need Oda to come out and say something.
Well, I didn't think it was obvious that Kizaru was the one that gave him that food. I think I did talk about this with my boy Buggy. When we both were covering this, on Saturdays back in the day. I think we did say, can't remember, but I think we did say that maybe Kizaru, and it makes sense. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, but people, you know, some of them don't want to read, bro.
Something like this to know it, right? Because it was so clear. But I'm glad to see it nonetheless. And for anybody with this like absolute copium explanation, thinking that Kizaru did it because Luffy's stronger
I gotta
than him
watch
and
this
he couldn't
too.
take on the Gorosei himself. Are you out of your mind? Are you even registering what you're thinking, despite the fact that like all the scaling like proves Kizaru's above, as I documented in my video? He was sent there to be Saturn's bodyguard, to protect him. Saturn wasn't even supposed to fight.
Right.
With that said, he's perception blitzing the shit out of Saturn. Saturn didn't even realize the guy got up. He got all this food, took it back, all before Saturn could do anything. In the same vein, he could grab all the people he wants to save in that time frame if he really wanted to. He cannot go against Saturn because that's his fucking job. He obviously wants to keep his job. His confliction is just that. He doesn't know what the right thing to do is. On one hand, he does believe that Vegapunk has...
I wonder why. I always wondered why Kizaru, even Garp for that matter, are in the Marines, bro. And they know that it's trash. I gotta see a backstory on that.
...committed these crimes. He does believe that Vegapunk should reap what he sows.
Over the past several days,
got an ad.
3
Sorry,
females
guys.
have been found dead.
Looks like someone's going after these girls.
But on the other hand, it's his best friend and he doesn't truly want to see this. That's why you see him trying to help without actively helping directly. without actively fighting Saturn and actively saving them. He's trying to like, hey, get the fuck back up, Luffy. You need to do better to protect this guy. That's why you see
Right.
this consistently. That's why you see him miss the shot on the Vega tank when he can shoot a key at Marineford with pinpoint accuracy and say, oopsie daisy. That's why you see all these things. He's trying to not have to do it. He's trying to have Luffy
read
protected,
Egghead
but
again, y'all.
there's
I
just
really
nothing
do.
more he can do.
I
And
really
that's why
wanna
he
read
says it's
Egghead
over
again.
when Saturn gets hit by Kuma, because at that point, the hands have been put on the Gorosei member. It's now gone to complete shit. There's only a limited amount of time where Saturn's going to buy him being down, because obviously it was clearly pretend. Saturn even was questioning it. He even wasn't really fully buying. He's like, this is rather sluggish work on your hands, but at least, you know, it's possible that that's how you're down, right? From you're fighting a Yonko at least. But there's only a limited amount of time where that's going to be fucking accepted. You have to understand this. And then the only time he stays down is when the mission is complete, when Vegapunk is taken out. So these are things that he cannot do. You have to understand that that's the definition of why it's confliction. Because on one hand, it's his job and his duty. And on the other hand, it's his best friend. He's being pulled by the heartstrings. He doesn't know what the fuck to do. With
This
that
is
said,
true.
we
He
did get a
really
couple
did. He
other
had a
interesting
hard
SPS
time with this,
questions
bro.
regarding admirals. So we got one talking about Fujitora and Green Bull's backstories. And I'll read it out to you guys now. The reader said, Odachi, please tell us the former occupations of Fujitora and Green Bull before they became Marine Admirals. Oda says, all right, just as they became the ones in charge of the defense affiliated nations to the world government through the system called the World Military Draft. These two were handpicked by the Marines. Aramaki hails from the South Blue. He was a police officer from the Taya Kingdom and caused a great incident involving a woman. Because of this, he got thrown into prison. His reputation of possessing extraordinary strength reached the government, and he got drafted into the Marines and immediately got a special promotion.
Yeah, I remember
Oda's
seeing this.
calling him extraordinarily
Yeah.
powerful. People were talking about the reason he was thrown into prison. I've seen people saying some
I
vile
don't know.
things about him,
I feel
throwing some
like
accusations his
Rengoku
way.
is
I
like
don't
the
know the validity
lowest in
of
terms
what
of
this
power
guy's
of
saying.
the
Going off the
admirals,
basis that all these guys, the admirals that is, are based off Oda's favorite actors, and Green Bull is one of them. This guy says the character Green Bull is inspired by killed 100 men because they kidnapped his girl. Green Bull did not do anything wrong. There's obviously something going on with Green Bull and a woman. This was hinted at when he was first revealed in the manga. We'll obviously get this backstory in the series, I'm assuming at some point, and it's gonna cook just like all Oda's backstories do. So I can't wait to see that. As far as Fujitora, Isho hails from the West Blue. He incurred losses on a gambling house
Oh, I
in
didn't
Twin
see this
Snake
picture.
Island, and
Oh,
the place he was
okay.
working as a bodyguard was bought by the world government with a large
I didn't
sum
see
of
him as a
money.
little
Isho
kid.
is a former
That's actually
defense
pretty
military
cool.
chief in the Blue Kingdom that once existed in the Grand Line. The Blue Kingdom was destroyed because of the war, and he became a significant war criminal. The world government will eventually be made aware of this. So apparently, they did not know that Fuji is a war criminal. This is very interesting. And they also don't talk about how he was drafted, how they recognize his strength. None of this is mentioned here. This kind of leads you to believe more so into those theories that maybe it was just a personal choice from Akainu, that Akainu personally knew about Fuji and brought him in for this position. So we'll see about all that. I can't wait for Fujitora's backstory. Probably going to be one of Oda's
I didn't know he
greatest
was a war
deals.
criminal.
We still have to find out
That's
how
crazy.
and why he blinded himself. What
Yeah,
went
why
into
did he
all
blind
that.
his-
And
yo,
the
I
war criminal
gotta-
thing is
yo.
probably for a just cause, but we'll have to see, of course. But I
All right, y'all. Oh, so okay, so yeah. Thank you, Zoni, for telling me about that. That was actually a cool video too. So getting into the end of the videos. Well, the first one. Honestly, I couldn't explain it better myself. Even with this video, I couldn't explain it better myself. I've been saying this for years. Oh, I'm getting a little bit blurry. Sorry. I've been saying this shit for years. Luffy is not on Kaido. Yeah, he's not on Kaido's either. But he's not on Kizaru's level yet. He has the strength, he has the power. His problem has always been his experience. He's fighting dudes that are way stronger that's because they've been at the game for a very long time. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, he's not up there yet. He just sailed 3 years ago. And he's fighting people he ain't got no business fighting. So yes, he is not up to Kaido yet. No, he's not up to Kaido yet. No, 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 no. And I'm glad actually I really like this video because Allfather's really breaks it down and he really does his research. And I really like that. Not even just because I agree with him, but I really like the way he breaks it down, and I gotta see more of his videos. So thank you, Zoni, for letting me know about that. Remember when Luffy becomes Pirate King? Now know that Kizaru spared him multiple times to kill him, which is crazy, right? Not gonna lie, but I personally have Fujitora above Green Bull and Big Mom below Kaido and Shanks. I agree with that. 100%. 100%. I agree with that. All right, y'all. I got to get out of here because it's about that time. But Zoni, thank you for coming through. And all of you guys that are going to be watching, thank you guys for coming through. I really appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Also, I was thinking about doing some movies to react to, anime and animation wise. Also, I am gonna be doing horror and Avatar: The Last Airbender. I will be doing those reactions because I put up the poll. You guys overwhelmingly said yes, do it. So I will be doing it. I'm probably gonna start next month, if anything. So yeah. All right, man. Good night, bro. Always at peace. Always at peace. Be with y'all. God bless. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, my boy Zoni. I love you, man. Thank you so much. Thank you guys too for supporting me. And we're getting out of here. I love you guys so much. Deuces. Be safe. Have a good one. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Later.